we're actually character driven. People that are wrestling fans, they have an identity with. They want to see somebody they know, even if it's an older guy or a young guy or whatever. I mean, that's what motivates them to buy a ticket. It's not, and when I promoted down here, the FCW, the new guys and teach, I promoted matches. And this is the way I looked at it. I looked at it like, okay, 6-man tag match, fatal four-way, chairs and ladders, blah, 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 blah. And that's all I promoted because I figured you'd capture their imagination by intrigue of the violence of the matches. So, anyway. But that's
what I
my
found out
opinion.
that you do your best with what you got. But it dawned on me now, our generation, I'm a little older than you are, but our generation is dying off, but so are our fans. So all these kids now see on TV is what Vince wants them to see. And I can see the same thing at Riley Brothers.
There's not much of a option either, so you're not getting comparable to say, I like this better than I like that.
No, you're absolutely right. They see what they see, and I mean, he determines what you're going to see. And the trouble is he determines it for these people that are up and coming that don't know a hammerlock from a hemorrhoid anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? That's an old-timer speaking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's our generation.
It is such a big industry and so successful. Everything that they do is amazing. And I mean, you can see the difference in it and wish it was the same, but it changed, and so did the people. And this is the same as action movies, from Charles Bronson and Clint Eastwood chasing one or two guys and killing maybe two guys in a movie, to Van Damme and Seagal killing about 300 in the first 5 minutes, and blowing up and diving out of fire. So the poor guys that have to work nowadays have to jump through their own ass to impress people too. So.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't looked at it quite that same way, but bottom line, it's the same thing. You have to give them something different. And, of course, these kids now, and the older fans, even though they're younger than us, a cage match, a barbed wire match, some of that stuff they're familiar with, but some of this other stuff they've come off the wall with, I'm not familiar with it. I mean, I hung the boots up in 2010 because I couldn't get out of the way of these kids anymore. I could get in a ring with somebody like you, and I could watch you, watch your eyes, watch your move, and know exactly where I needed to be. These kids now, half the time, they don't know where they're supposed to be. And it was just a matter of time before we had a double knockout and somebody had gotten hurt.
Well, it's consistency. When I started, and for probably my first 17, 18 years, it was a 7-day-a-week job.
Yeah,
most territories had minimum one TV. Sometimes, like Georgia, you worked a TV on Saturday morning. You worked a TV on Saturday afternoon live in Columbus, and then you drove either to Carrollton or Griffin, just south of Atlanta. So you worked 3 shots on Saturday and another TV on Tuesday afternoon in Atlanta for some channel. So you're working an average of maybe 9 times a week to 10 times a week, full-time, nonstop. And if you didn't wrestle, you didn't get paid, so you worked whether you could walk, talk, chew gum, just as long as your feet moved. The rest of you could just make it work. But that's the difference. You were doing it like, I remember feeling from my first 5 years lost to all of a sudden I could close my eyes and do it without even looking to see where everything was. I mean, because it came
second nature.
Becomes part of your life. So
you were part of it when I first got in. I got in unofficially in 1969, and I met Ronald, I think, and we started talking. And I was a cable splasher for the phone company, and he wanted me to. He'd build a home over on the East Coast there, north of West Palm, and he wanted me to pre-wire his house for him for telephone. Of course, the telephone company thought that was great because I'd do it out of my time. They wouldn't have to pay me. Well, I don't know whatever happened, but. I never did do it, but we stayed in touch. And the next thing you know, I'm driving him to his matches so he could sleep in the evenings, and that's how I got in. I worked my notice out with him in '72, and went full time with Ronald. And then we went up here in October of '74. to Knoxville, bought out Kazana. But I don't know how you ever missed coming up here, because a lot of those boys came up here from about 74, 75.
Where are you?
Where the hell are you? I was in Knoxville. I'm in Del Rio, Tennessee now. That's about 65 miles east of Knoxville, 2,000 feet up the mountain. Got a mountaintop. Jimmy can tell you.
There was a group there when Robert and Ron were doing it. I'm pretty sure Kevin Sullivan slipped into there too, and everybody had their boats, and they went up. Yeah, they all went on Sundays and hung out on the lake and stuff like that.
North
I remember
Lake.
that. I don't know how I missed that. I mean, I think I was over in the Nashville area during that time.
I never knew you were anywhere close to up here. Yeah, they all had a boat. Ronnie Garvin, he had his boat. I had a little houseboat that sat there tied up to a dock, and it was fantastic. We rarely worked. Once in a while we'd pull a Sunday, but we did TV Saturday mornings and then went to a shot Saturday night. And most of the time they'd go right on up there and stay over until Monday morning. But yeah, we had a good time up there. But we had most of that Tampa crowd up here. We had Tanaka, and we had Buzz Sawyer and Tony Charles and just about everybody that I'd met in West Palm Beach at one time or another. Yeah, we had a great crowd, and we had sold the Coliseum out on a number of occasions. And then we sold out to Cornette in '79, and I got a full-time job, and which that was too, and started refereeing for Flair and Mulligan over here, so they wouldn't have to come over on weekends. So I never did actually give it up. I've been in it really since 1969 in one form or another.
Okay.
And boy, did the bones feel it.
Well, Steve,
Jimmy, what's your question?
I forgot. I kind of took up your time.
I had 3, and now I got 1. So I was curious, Steve. Of course, I enjoyed your work in the WWF portraying Doink the Clown and Skinner. What were your fondest memories of working over with Vince?
I have to tell you that my favorite was Skinner. And the reason is because that the business was on a revolutionary change at that time, and it had been right off of being one of the fabulous ones with Stan, so like a Chippendale dancer kind of a guy. And then I had killed 15 alligators in a harvest down here, the very first hunt where you were allowed to kill alligators, and so watching what was going on up there, I said, well, I better show up with something, So when I first flew up and met Vince, I had an alligator hide, a skull, some paws, and stuff like that. And I told him I just killed 15 alligators. I just killed 15 alligators. I don't know what you can do with it, but I just trying to come up with something like show and tell here. And so I said, you've seen everything else I've done, so whatever. And he goes, well, go home for a month, and he says, we'll get you back up here after Creative. And after Creative, worked on it a month, he calls me, and he had told me to let my hair go to a natural color of brown instead of bleach blonde. And then he said, just grow your beard. And so when I came back up, he goes, hey, did you ever see the movie Deliverance? And I go, yeah, I saw a bunch of times. And he goes, well, I want you to be one of those guys. Well, my first thought was, because I just done the Fabulous One gimmick, I'm thinking, well, Burt Reynolds, right? He wants me to be Burt Reynolds. And I look at him and I go, you want me to be Burt Reynolds? You want me to get a vest or something? Or what the hell do you want me to get? He says, no, I don't want you to be Burt Reynolds. He said, I want you to be one of the 2 guys in the woods with Ned Beatty and the guy that says, hey, boy, you got a right pretty mouth. And so my whole image of what I was going to be was like shot. Now I went from like a Chippendale dancer to a homeless looking guy, and I got so weird looking that sometimes when I walked by the mirror in the motel rooms, I didn't even recognize myself. It scared the shit out of me, like somebody else was in the room with me, like, in the dark when you go to the bathroom. But Skinner was so much fun, and I'll tell you why, because it was my best opportunity to do interviews. My promos generally sucked as a babyface prior to that because if they were trying to appeal to the good guy image and trying to connect with people, and set the right example. the heel has the best opportunity to do interviews, but if you try to change your character and it's the same face and the same thing, it's hard. So when I got to be Skinner, all I had to do was imitate some guy, you know, like a redneck guy, a swamp guy, whatever. And I added the licorice to make it look like chewing tobacco. And I knew that whenever I screwed up my promo, all I had to do was start laughing like I was nuts, and it came out tremendous. And so Doink was the drizzling shits, and the reason was that it took me an hour to paint my face. And it took so much time getting ready, you know. It would be the thing that I have nightmares about. I have a nightmare that the music's playing and I only got half a Doink face on and I got to run, you know, painting. And then, I mean, you know, and then plus, if you'd have told me when I started in the wrestling business down here in Florida that I was going to retire from the ring as a freaking clown, I'd have died. I would have died saying, there's no way I'm ever going to be a clown. I'm not doing it. And I volunteered. I was the one that went to Vince and said, hey, I got a great idea. I can hide under the ring and we can have two Doinks. And Matt Bourne's looking at me like, wait, brother, you're stealing my gimmick.
Yeah, funny thing happened. I was watching a pro football game, and the announcers were, I don't remember who it was. It was one well-known one. But they two players, man, run right smack into each other. I mean, like a double knockout. And the guy said, wow, Doink. And guess who came to mind right off the bat?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, my poor kids going through school down here in Florida. My kids, it was cool when I was Skinner. I mean, you know, me and Macho Man actually did my son's third grade career day where you invite your dad to come in.
Yeah.
And I dressed up as Skinner, and Randy came full uniform, bro. He stood on one side of the room, and a bunch of little third graders are looking at us, and I'm going, this is one occupation you don't want to grow up to be. I'm the bad guy, and look at that guy. He's supposed to be the good guy. He's going, oh, yeah. It was tremendous. But Skinner was a lot of fun because they'd say, okay, hey, Skinner, you're on. And I'd roll around on the floor, get up, and walk out the door. It was, like, unbelievable. I mean, you know, that was the best preparation character he ever did. So, anyway, Skinner was my guy. But I'll tell you what happened is that the first bump I took in the WWF ring in that early 90s series, I thought some mark had put the ring together wrong. I rolled off the floor and crawled up under it because it was like a boxing ring. It almost knocked me out. And I go, you know, I slowly pulled myself out of actually participating. And at first I was so gun-ho about working and making impression. Vince pulled me aside and said, hey, listen, you're not getting this, Steve. He said, you're from the Everglades. You're an alligator poacher. How do you know how to do go-behind takedowns and fireman carries? He said, you can out-wrestle my baby faces. Don't do that. Just kick and punch. So man, I'm done. 90 seconds. Take me out of the oven.
Oh, well,
that scared me.
Well, give that some thought, Steve. I'd love to see you up here.
Well, I'd really like to come. I'll talk to Brian about it. It's
Please
just
do.
that I had a granddaughter born yesterday.
Congratulations.
Well, thanks. I got 3 grandchildren, and wow, step on it, Steve.
Senility.
I'm fishing. I'm doing all kinds of cool stuff, and because I'm not answering to anybody from any place right now, and it's the most unusual thing that's been around for a long time for my life. So anyway.
But you're getting used to it.
It's only been this month. No, I'm not.
You're spoiled already, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and think, what the hell am I going to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do? You know, and I start talking to myself, and I'm going, like, nobody calls or nothing like that. And I do that. Now it's like I look better than I ever looked. That's like my one responsibility, and I don't have any hobbies. My hobby is going to the gym.
Well, you don't want to do any gator hunting, because I did that as a kid and almost went to jail. So
you can do it here. You can do it in September with a license.
Yeah, that's when they made it legal. Yeah, but we're going back into the middle to latter 50s when we were getting $1.50 a foot.